I'm now 40 years old, and if there's one thing that I could go back in time and tell my 20-year-old self, it would be to invest in myself. And I know what my previous self would say because I know myself pretty well. I would look me straight in the eyes and I would say, don't give me that cookie cutter advice, because I've heard it a million times. But what I'm about to tell my previous self is anything but cookie cutter advice. This goes much deeper than that, because I'm not going to waste my breath and waste this one opportunity to tell myself something significant by talking about a bunch of cookie cutter advice that I can find anywhere. I'm going to tell myself that the things that I would later be focused on in life don't really freaking matter. Materialistic stuff, acquiring more things, girls, your appearance and what people think of you, none of that stuff matters. I would tell myself to focus on something that's much, much more important. So what I would tell myself is think about where you want to be 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now. Once you have that in your mind and you can envision your lifestyle and see exactly what your life looks like, what you'll be doing, who you'll be with, how you'll be spending your time, that is the point to learn every single one of the skills that you need to get to that point. At that point, you start breaking it down and you start thinking about what are the steps I need to take to reach the first goal, to reach the first milestone. Let's say, where I want to be a year from now. What's the steps I need to make it there? And more importantly, what are the things I need to learn to make it to that point? And I would tell myself to repeat that process for every single milestone and every single goal that I set for myself. Because if there's one thing more than anything else that I neglected when I was growing up, it is that I didn't invest enough time into myself, into learning the things I need to get by. And that ties into financial investing and traditional investing as well. Because had I taken the time to learn those things, what it takes to actually invest smart and build myself a large portfolio that would eventually be able to sustain me for the remainder of my life, I would have done that. Because had I known this stuff and had I taken the time to learn these things for myself and build the skills I need to invest and to do all the things that I want to do in life, I would be much better off. Because back then, even at a younger age, I knew that I didn't want to be stuck in the workforce for my entire life. I had always planned on getting out early, and my goal was always 45. But the one critical step that I overlooked and I didn't take initiative on was learning the skills I need to be able to get out and build something for myself. Because building something for myself was my ultimate goal. That was my big dream. Something that I could be proud of, something that would allow me to give back to the world, and something that would allow me to make a difference and make an impact in the world. Because to me, that's what's important. But instead of taking the time to invest in myself and learn the skills that I would later need to make those dreams a reality, I spent that time going through the public education system, and I spent that time chasing after the things in life that I thought at the time were important, only to find out that yes, those things served me very well at the time, they wouldn't necessarily do me a whole lot of good in the future. I spent 18 years of my life, literally half my life, in the workforce. I was working for one of the largest corporations in the country. And by doing that, I did develop a whole lot of skills that I still carry with me to this very day. And a lot of those experiences have shaped me into the person I am. But when you're stuck in a job and you only know that job, and that's your main focus, those are the things you learn. And in a lot of cases, that knowledge, those skills and that experience that you've gained can really only be applied to that specific job and can only be applied to other things to a certain extent. And that's where you start to become limited, and that's what I've found to be true for myself. Because I've learned all this stuff that is very applicable to the job I was doing. It's very applicable to that entire enterprise, and if I wanted to get back into that kind of stuff, I could hop back in with no problems at all. So it's not to say that those skills are unnecessary or that they're not valuable, because they absolutely are. But now that I've chosen a different path in life, they're not serving me very well. And I can't help but think about that. Had I taken the time to learn the skills that I knew I would need later in life, that I would have a much easier time doing what I'm doing now, because the things I neglected was all the stuff that's on the back end of doing something for yourself. So I would tell myself 100%, buy books, find a mentor, pay for coaching, no matter what it takes. Learn the skills that you need to get to where you want to go. Surround yourself with like-minded people. People who have been where you want to be, people who are already there, and people who are also actively working towards it, because there's a lot that you can learn from all those people. I would tell myself to establish those relationships, establish a community of like-minded people, and surround yourself with those people as quickly as you possibly can. That's something I'm doing later in life. I'm doing that actively right now. I'm surrounding myself with like-minded people, and that's you. That's the whole reason I started posting YouTube videos, is so that I could build a community of like-minded people and pass on the things I've learned in life in hopes to help somebody else out. Because over the years, I've come to realize that we're extremely divided over pretty much everything. And when we're divided, especially to that extent, we become extremely weak. And the only way for us to get our strength back and regain our power is to unite. And the best way to come together and unite is over common interests. And that's exactly what I would tell myself. Surround yourself with people who share common interests, because those are the people you can learn from. Again, you're stronger together. Don't try to go this alone. Don't try to take on the world by yourself. Surround yourself with other people that can help you out along the way. Support each other, because that support will carry you very, very far in life, much farther than you can go alone. And that's not to say that you can't get there by yourself, because you absolutely can. And if you can dream it up, you can achieve it. The sky's the limit. There is nothing that you can't achieve if you put your mind to it. But as the old saying goes, work smarter, not harder. If you can get there in half the time by bringing other people into your life and learning from people who have been there before you, there's absolutely no reason why you wouldn't do that. So instead of spending your time on stuff that doesn't matter, like going out and drinking and talking to girls and blowing some of your hard-earned money and a lot of your mental capacity on stuff that you think is going to make you fit in because that's the societal norm, instead of doing that, go all in. Go all in with your money, go all in with your time, go all in with everything that you have on investing in yourself. That is the most critical and the most fundamental piece of advice that I would go back and I would tell myself. Because if there's one thing I've learned over the last 20 years, is that when you invest in yourself, that is the most significant and the most powerful investment you can possibly make. And that has the potential to grow exponentially. As a matter of fact, it has the potential to grow to wherever you want to take it. You can essentially create whatever reality you can dream up. The sky is literally the limit, because when you invest in yourself and you put all your time and effort into learning the skills that you need to get where you want to be, then at that point, there's really no reason why you can't get there. The one critical factor you need to keep in mind is that it's one thing to learn that stuff, but you also have to put it into practice. You can't just consume, and not actually take action. You have to learn the stuff and you have to immediately go out there and apply it. Because if you don't apply it, you're not actually going to learn anything. And that's one of the big traps that I will eventually fall into, is that I start to consume a lot of content and I start to educate myself, but I don't necessarily take initiative and go out there and put it into practice. So all the time that you invest into yourself and every single thing that you learn, you need to apply it. And you need to apply it straight away so that you can fail and you can get those failures out of the way, so that you can learn from them, and so that that experience will lead you to success. It will lead you to where you want to be 10, 15, 20 years from now. And if there's one great thing about the modern era, it's that we all, every single one of us, have information at our fingertips like never before. If you have a phone and you have an internet connection, you can learn everything you need to know for free, and that is very, very powerful. So leverage that. Don't waste that resource, and more importantly, don't waste your time consuming brain-rotting content. Porn, social media, dating apps, consuming content that really has no value. None of this stuff is important, and none of this stuff is doing you any favors. As a matter of fact, it's only degrading you, so remove yourself from that. Focus on things that you can learn and take action on. And one of the most important aspects of investing in yourself is investing in your health. Because knowing what I know now, later in life, if you don't have health, you don't have anything. Health is more important than money. It's more important than time, because you can have all the time in the world, but if you don't have your health, what's that time worth? If your entire life is spent in misery and it's spent suffering, then that time is not worth living. So if you want to truly be wealthy, you have to be healthy. Health is at the forefront of everything in life. The moment your health starts to decline, the moment everything else stops mattering. The only thing you can focus on at that point is getting better. And it can pull you away from investing in yourself in all these other ways. So no matter what you do and what path you take, make that a priority and a primary consideration for everything that you do in life. And if there's one more thing I would tell myself, it would be not to sweat the small stuff. Don't let these small, insignificant things that you think matter affect you any way whatsoever. Because at the end of the day, nothing really matters. We all wind up in the same place. And when you zoom out on the world and you look at how small and tiny and insignificant we are, we're smaller than an atom. We're like a speck of bacteria floating through an endless amount of space. The things that we think matter in our tiny, insignificant lives don't matter at all. And those things are not worth even an ounce of your energy or of your time. So don't sweat the small stuff. Let that stuff roll off your back. If something happens and you get down or you fail, it's part of life. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, learn from that experience, and keep moving forward. No matter what happens, never stop. Never slow down, because if we slow down and we stop living. And when it comes to stuff like traditional investing, we screwed up on that pretty freaking bad. And if you want to see exactly how bad, click on this video right here.